Hello，你好，欢迎回来，Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday with Johnny Tiger on June 14th, 2023. But you already know that because we were here a little bit earlier this afternoon doing a little knife review. As we progress gradually into beautiful summer season, one of the local attraction here in Richmond, British Columbia. Some of you know about that. Some of the one of the local attraction is the Richmond Night Market. In fact, I believe that it is popular enough that there's actually two separate night market now. Now, as the name suggests, the night market only happen at nighttime, and it's outdoors and with vendors selling everything and anything from food to clothes to decorations and wallet and purses and things like that. Personally speaking, I don't really like the Richmond night market. Not that there's anything intrinsically wrong with them, but more because they are so different. They are so different from the night markets I grew up with in Taiwan. You see, in Taiwan and China and Hong Kong, you go to night market to relax. You go to night market like it's a kind of place that you go like after dinner you feel like some ice cream or you want something sweet and you just throw on a pair of slippers and then you go and stroll through the night market and you look for things you want or look for that ice cream cone you feel like. Uh, it's a laid back, relaxed, and cheap option. Most people go to night market for something cheap. In Taiwan, in Hong Kong, in China, night markets are the kind of place that you go to for cheap clothes, cheap jacket. If you need a new water bottle but you don't want to pay the kind of price they charge in shopping centers, you go to a night market. You get a water bottle that's almost as good, but only costs you like $5. Uh, that's the kind of night market I grew up with. Not this spectacle of you have to buy ticket to get in, and you have to fight for parking spot, and you have to everything is so expensive. Every time you go to the night market, be prepared to spend at least $100. And it's crowded and unfriendly and uh, yeah, this is not a vibe I grew up with. No, in regarding to night market. But hey, it's Canada, so I guess you know they do it the Canadian way here. Um, I can't really criticize that. If I really want the Taiwanese night market, then I go back to Taiwan, right? But today we're going to do an episode and talk a little bit about night market and the origin, and because even though a lot of people can't really pinpoint where the night market originate from, uh, there is a funny little origin story, and I will not say that this is a definitive origin of night market, but this is one of the possibilities. This is one of the more widely accepted fact about how it might have got started in China, and we'll talk about that today. But before we do that, um, let me quickly give you some vocabulary. Night market in Mandarin is called 夜市. Sound like you're saying yes, right? Like yes or no, like you're saying yes. You just pronounce that S a little bit more audible, like 夜市, 夜市. That's night market. Very easy to remember, right? 夜市. 夜 means night in Mandarin. 夜, and 市 means uh market. So 夜市 means night market. If I want to go to a marketplace, it's called 市场. 市, and 场. 场 means uh, 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 arrangement, area. So 市场 means marketplace. Supermarket is 超市, CHOW, and then 市. 超 means super, supermarket, 超市. 夜市 night market, 超市 supermarket. 市场 is a marketplace in the daytime. Right? So next time you have a chance to go to Hong Kong or Taiwan or China, people ask you what would you like to experience, tell them you would like to check out the 夜市, because believe you me, night markets in China, in Taiwan, in even in the Philippines, I believe, and Thailand, it's an experience that will stick with you for the rest of your lifetime, and you will really, really enjoy it. So for the origin of 夜市, the origin of night market, we have to go way back to the Yuan dynasty in China. Yuan dynasty, for those of you who don't remember, was when the Mongols, the Mongolian people, ruled China. They invaded China and then took over. So around Genghis Khan's time, right? So when the Mongols ruled China as a Yuan dynasty. The Yuan emperor, of course, was very, very feared by all the neighboring nations, such as uh, 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 Thailand and Cambodia, those places. They really feared the Mongols because the world just barely survived the great Mongol horde that tried to take over the world. So everybody kind of got PTSD at that point. So a lot of countries, nearby countries uh, near China, they bring gift to the Chinese emperor or the Mongol emperor, we should say, uh, and as tribute every year, just to pacify the emperor, so he wouldn't start another invasion. Among these gifts and tributes were about 30 to 40 elephants. Yeah, the Mongol emperor owned 30 or 40 elephants. What did he do with those elephants? Well, they actually got the elephant working. Uh, they had to go to work every day at the palace. What did the elephant do? These elephants got trained to be the emperor's personal security guard. Apparently, even back then, I mean, we are talking about over 700 years ago. Apparently, even then, they realized that elephant had amazing, amazing intelligence, and they had an amazing sense of smell. So the emperor had his people train the elephant to detect if anyone coming to the palace were carrying weapons or have concealed weapon on them. Anytime the elephant smell someone that were carrying even something as small as a knife, the elephant would kill the person on the spot. Yeah, I'm not even making this up. The Mongol, they actually trained the elephant to do security duty. So these elephants, other than working at the palace, they had to spend most of the time in their holding pen, being fed and washed, and they were only allowed out once a year. And on this day, when the elephants had their one day off of the year, is the one holiday, the one vacation day, uh, all the elephants, all 30, 40 of them, were taken over to the moat by the imperial city, the big moat that separated the imperial city from the land beyond. The moat that prevent invaders to just cross over and get into the city. That's what the drawbridges were for. When the invaders come, you pull up the drawbridge so they can't get across the moat. So these moats were super deep, and very wide, of course. So the elephant handlers, one day every year, would take the elephants over to the moat and let them play in the water. This day it became known as Elephant Bathing Day in Chinese history, and this is a real, genuine holiday. Which when is the Elephant Bathing Day? Uh, Also called 喜象节. Okay, 喜象节, 喜 means bathe, 象 means elephant, 节 we talked about this before. 节 means special day. 喜象节, Elephant Bathing Day, is on June 6th every year on the lunar calendar. A lot of Chinese people today probably don't know about that because they don't wash elephant like that anymore. But it is a long-standing holiday throughout Chinese history, starting from the Yuan Dynasty. Now, obviously, most of the civilians didn't see elephants that often. So every 喜象节, every elephant bathing day, the civilians will show up in the thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of civilians will show up on the banks of the moat to watch the elephants play in the water. And because so many people show up, obviously vendors would set up their store and people would sell food and sell water, sell fruit, and all kind of little trinkets and goodies. So once a year during Elephant Bathing Day, it was a massive celebration, massive fair where people got together and sell and trade and had a lot of fun. Sadly, by the Qing dynasty, which was the last dynasty in Chinese history, by the Qing dynasty, there were no more elephants in China. So there's no longer need for this 喜象节 celebration. uh, People still show up and people still set up vendors and stalls to sell things and along the moat, uh, but they didn't get to see the elephant anymore. But because so many people throughout the years, throughout the generations, got so used to uh, doing trades and selling goods on 喜上节, they decided, well, hey, you know, just because the elephant mm, they don't come here to wash anymore, doesn't mean that we have to stop selling stuff. So, with the part of the moat by the imperial city where uh, the elephant used to play in the water became sort of an unofficial marketplace for people to sell secondhand goods and homemade goodies and stuff like that. And so you can say it sort of became the early version of the flea market. Unfortunately, like many things that eventually get corrupted, this market by the imperial moat soon became more and more shady, and a drastic change happened that the market split into three separate markets. So one still operated by the imperial moat, and two other similar sized group went and set up shop in other part of the imperial city. Another big change that came to these marketplaces was that rather than operating during the day, they kind of went underground and started operating either soon under sunset or during the hours right before sunrise. And they became widely known as the three ghost markets of China. So these were the earliest form of the night market we know today. Why did these marketplaces go change to operate at night? Some people say it's because it's cooler at night, and some people say it's because, well, people who are working, they need to have somewhere to buy stuff at night. And while these arguments are all very valid, uh, this is a lot more innocent than what the truth was. You see, the truth was that they moved to operating at night because of the kind of stuff that was being sold in these marketplaces. We already established that these marketplaces at first sold a lot of homemade stuff, homemade goodies and homemade food and things like that. Now, well, I know a lot of people go gaga over homemade stuff, but you got to remember, homemade means it's not regulated. So if someone is have questionable character and set up a shop at the marketplace to sell, well, let's say homemade sword, because we are going back to the good old days where people did use swords and knives and stuff like that. So let's say I'm a very shady kind of a store owner, and I don't want people to realize that I'm using the cheapest as possible metals, and I'm not selling them good stuff. Well, the easiest way is to operate at night where people can't see very well. Way back then, it's not like people had flashlights or iPhone stuff like that. There's no camera, so if you come to a night market, everything is kind of dimly lit, nothing's well lit, and you can barely see what you're buying. It's easy to sell people shoddy materials at night. This was reason number one. Reason number two was more and more of the marketplace were being taken over with transactions that were strictly illegal, such as prostitution, drug, uh, selling private alcohols, and selling stolen goods. So it's gotten to the point where it's to everybody's interest. If you don't see the seller and the seller doesn't see you, at least not very well. So if one of you get caught, you can't identify each other to the Imperial Guards. These marketplaces continue to operate uh, half legally, half illegally, mostly underground, uh, all the way into 1970s when the Chinese government cracked down on them and said no more, no more, no more selling stolen goods, no more selling shoddy material, questionable substances. And we will not allow that. So these uh, earliest form of night market, aka the ghost markets, got shut down around the 70s and 80s. But the Chinese government soon realized there was a problem. What's the problem? The problem is you can't regulate something like this. If people want to sell things and you tell them it's illegal, they're going to find ways about it. You crack down on one location, three other locations going to open up next week, and you simply don't have enough resources to police something like this. So by 1985, the Chinese government realized that this wasn't working. So rather than cracking down and punishing people, the Chinese government did a about face and said, okay, we are going to legalize everything. Because why? Because when you legalize things like uh, the selling of homemade stuff, the selling of antique stuff like that, then people won't have to hide when they do this. They'll have to, if you make it nice and easy, say, for people to register and be licensed, then people will rather be licensed and be able to sell these things out in the open. So you don't have to chase them all over the place and look for them. So the Chinese government, rather than cracking down, started legalizing these marketplaces, and that's why today you still see night markets everywhere you go in China, in Taiwan, in Hong Kong. Another interesting development from the night market is this very interesting phenomenon that most of you, if you ever go to China, you definitely should check it out. It's called the antique market. It's called 古玩市场. 古玩 means antique, 市场 marketplace. The antique market is a current form of the old part of the night market that have people sell antiques and stolen goods. And nowadays, it's heavily regulated, so everything you'll find there will be perfectly legal, perfectly standardized, and you can find all kinds of antiques and little goodies that people find uh, uh, in the mountains or in the river and stuff like that. All the salvaged goods. If you're interested in some potteries from the Tang Dynasty, for example, and the Guwan Shichang. These are the places, these antique markets are the good place for you to go to find these little antique items that might not be quite valuable, but are definitely fun and a piece of history for you to own. Now, some people might be saying, well, that's not right. How can you just buy and sell relics from Tang Dynasty and stuff like that? Like, aren't those things supposed to belong to the museum and be treasured and cherished? Well, yes, but you got to remember that China has had a history of 5,000 years. 5,000 years, okay? To put that into perspective, we have so many antiques that almost anyone who's willing can go into the backyard, and if you dig around long enough, you will find something. You'll find something that's from 2,000 years ago. So there's so much of these old relics that they are not that big of a deal for the most part. I mean, some of them are, don't get me wrong. Like if you can find a chamber pot that used to be belong to the king of Tang Dynasty, then yeah, something like that might be worth millions of dollars. But just some plain old pot or pans or plates or uh, a chair from Song Dynasty or Tang Dynasty, that that stuff is not worth anything, hardly, because they're everywhere. You can find them so easily. Like, um, I have heard a lot of people, my generation in China, that they say if you want to, all you have to do is go into the mountains and look around and start digging in the riverbed and streams and go into the valleys and go around the waterfall and just go poke around out there in the mountains and you can find truckloads of old stuff that you can sell at the marketplace. So yeah, while to the rest of us, to the rest of the world, these things seems ridiculous that people are selling some 1,000-year-old pottery at a local marketplace, but in a place like China, where these things are so plentiful, that's nothing. That's no big deal whatsoever. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode, and if you are local, why not go check out the Richmond Night Market? But believe you me, if you ever been to Asia, if you ever been to Taiwan, Hong Kong, Philippines, Thailand, China, you check out the night market there, and you come back, I guarantee you, you will laugh at the night market that we see here in Canada. But either way, the night market can be a very fun uh, uh, thing to do as a family in the summertime. Get out there, enjoy some fresh air, but hold on tight to your purses and wallets because there are some pickpockets there.